Superman the Ride at Six Flags New England was once regarded as one of the best roller coasters in the world, alongside Apollo's Chariot and Steel Force. Man, Golden Ticket Awards rankings are something else. Anyway, I had the chance to ride this coaster last August, and it easily landed a spot in my top 5. It's not that impressive. I've ridden 42 coasters. This thing is a beast. The ride lasts forever and every hill delivers ejector airtime, especially that 4th hill. That was nuts. Superman has a 221-foot drop that gets the train up to 77 miles an hour, which is more than enough to keep the train going throughout the ride's 5,400 feet of track. The trains are super long, having 9 cars and 36 riders per train, and the trains are not nearly as bad as coaster enthusiasts would like you to think. Sure, they restricted the airtime quite a bit, but they're pretty comfortable, and Superman's airtime is strong enough to where you can really feel it even when you're stapled. The layout starts with this long and not super steep chain lift hill before a first drop that's actually pretty average for a coaster of this height. On most modern coasters, the track gets steeper and steeper as the drop continues, producing negative g-forces for riders before the track smoothly transitions into the pullout that pulls positive g-forces. Manufacturers such as B&M maximize the amount of time that the airtime is felt on the drop before it transitions from negative to positive g-forces on the drop's pullout. On Superman, that transition doesn't occur, as the airtime is sharply halted and the train heads down a long piece of straight track before the drop reaches the pullout. This technique was used on a lot of older coasters with straight drops, such as Viper at Six Flags Darien Lake. So Superman's drop is pretty underwhelming, but that's really the only huge problem I have with this ride. The train heads into a massive airtime hill that delivers solid ejector, especially in the back of the train. After this, it goes through an overbanked turn, which feels like pretty much what you'd expect from an element like this. The track snakes around and dips down while aligning itself parallel to the first hills, and the ride just showcases its speed during this part, as the feeling of speed is great. After this is a run of back-to-back camelbacks that deliver some otherworldly ejector airtime for riders in the back, especially the second of those hills. That's gotta be one of my favorite moments on any coaster I've ridden. Superman gives you time to process this breathtaking hill, as the next element is a very drawn-out, twisted hill that delivers virtually no force whatsoever. It just kinda drags the train into a long turnaround as the train picks up speed and the g-forces increase. The next element is this awesome twisted airtime hill that, unlike the previous, delivers some amazing ejector airtime for riders in the back. This leads into a helix that for some reason features this slightly jarring hitch in the track about halfway through. Nothing that affected the ride for me, but it was just kinda weird. It leaves you slightly startled heading into this next element, but this twisted hill will make you forget all about it because it delivers another moment of amazing ejector airtime. The train dives into a tunnel before emerging with a shallow rise into a quick drop, followed by 2 back-to-back ejector airtime hills, a great way to finish off this world-renowned megacoaster. My modern take on this layout features heavy inspiration from Hyperion and Energylandia, a roller coaster that some consider a modern version of Superman the Ride. My concept utilizes the 4-across trains found on Hyperion, as well as a similar out-and-back layout that ends in a twister. I worked with Casper from Casper Coaster Creator on this project, and he put together the amazing scenery and filmed some clips for this video, so big shout out to him for this. Now onto the coaster. The lift hill and drop are unsurprisingly modeled heavily after Hyperion, with its lift structure and drop into a tunnel. The track shaping is more modern, with a smooth transition from airtime to positive g-force. Front row riders receive negative 0.4 Gs of airtime, while the back row gets negative 0.7 Gs, and the whole train feels the maximum g-force of 4.3 at the bottom of this drop. The next element is retained from the original, as it's a classic ejector airtime hill. The scale of this hill is reminiscent of Hyperion's second hill, which is known for producing some wild sustained ejector airtime. The forces are also similar to that, as the whole train receives around negative 0.9 Gs of airtime. Before the turnaround, the train passes over a quick bunny hill, almost like a twisted version of the same airtime pop on Hyperion. It's nothing crazy, as the whole train just receives negative 0.2 Gs of floater airtime. The turnaround is like a reverse version of that on Hyperion, being an Immelman instead of a dive loop. The track is profiled so that back row riders, especially those on the wing seats, will receive some crazy lateral force and ejector airtime upon the exit of this element, with negative 0.8 Gs of airtime paired with positive 1.0 lateral Gs. From this point, the track needs to turn very slightly to the left to align itself parallel to the first airtime hill. So I added in this very low to the ground Stengel dive, but it also doubles as a mini outer bank turn, providing floater floater airtime to the whole train, but that would kind of go unnoticed because at the same time riders are receiving up to 1G of lateral force as the train rips through this intense maneuver. So far, this coaster is very similar to Hyperion, and Hyperion's next element in the sequence would be a very drawn-out floater hill, one that many who have ridden complain about for being a buzzkill. However, there's no problem here, as this airtime hill delivers force just as potent as the one after the drop. The ejector hill closes out the first half of the ride that features large elements in an out and back layout. This next speed hill is just a precursor for what's to come in this intense second half, as it delivers negative 0.8 Gs of airtime to the whole train. The track ventures into the area of the old twister section and kicks off with a unique variation on a common hypercoaster element. It starts as a classic twisted airtime hill, but the twist occurs slightly before the apex of the element, allowing for enough room to perform another intense direction change as the track descends to ground level. Riders experience 2 quick pops of borderline ejector airtime with negative 0.6 Gs on both hills, paired with some nice lateral force. The track needs to turn back around in order to stay within this compact plot of land, so I utilized a VelociCoaster style wave turn, delivering a quick pop of negative 0.7 G ejector airtime. The train flies into another speed hill, as I tried to mimic the usage of multiple speed hills within a twister section, kind of like Kondaa at Walibi Belgium. This one delivers some powerful airtime at negative 0.8 Gs for the front and negative 0.9 Gs for the back. The next turnaround is a classic forceful turn, one that subtly increases in height throughout the turn. This allows room for a sharper elevation change on the exit of the element, pairing negative 0.6 Gs of airtime with the strong laterals present on this transition. Yet another moment of ejector airtime follows, but this hill is a bit steeper and would probably be categorized as a camelback rather than a speed hill. It delivers a powerful burst of negative 0.7 Gs for the whole train, and I tried to pay homage to the drop into the tunnel here, but I decided not to include a venture underground because I didn't want the following turn to be exceedingly forceful. The train then heads into another element inspired by Kondaa, this one being the wall stall. It would be the second 90-degree banked airtime moment during this twister section, but this one is banked to the right instead of the left and features sustained floater airtime compared to the quick pop of ejector. The whole train receives slightly under 0 Gs while cresting the element before the banking rapidly twists back upright. For the finale, I originally wanted to have multiple airtime moments in a row, similar to the original ride, but instead of having a couple of larger camelback hills, I added 3 quick pops of airtime similar to the ending of Kondaa. This ending is much more rapid fire than Superman and is a good contrast to the large swooping elements found previously in the coaster's layout. Each of these hills pull around negative 0.6 or negative 0.7 Gs of ejector airtime before the train hugs a tight corner and jumps into the final brakes. To see the full POV video, go check out the cinematic video over on Casper's channel. I'll see you next time. Bye.